She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties.
I'm Chessie.
You want to talk about the book again?
So from the get-go, I was like, oh, cool, this is going to be a book about girls stabbing another girl.
College smut. So, it appeals to the masses.
That's what you get for making me read those fucking happy endings all the time.
Monstrous See Now.
We're still live.
Hello, it's me.
And Chessie!
Chessie, hi.
Hi, friends!
Hello!
It's Chessie! It's our bestie, Chessie!
I'm so happy to be here.
So for the fourth time, we have Francesca Zappia, author extraordinaire, top shelf author.
I have to tell you.
That's where we keep the good books, just like the liquor
good.
cabinet.
In all the bookstores, they're on the bottom shelf because of my last name.
Because you're a Z.
Because I'm a Z.
Not the way that I organize books. Now, in the library, of course, I have to put you at
now,
the
see,
end,
I was just telling you all about my pen name idea.
Mm-hmm.
And my pen name, last name would start with an F. That is solid eye-level bookcase placement.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
And you know what? My kids, they do not benefit from, like, a good last name because mine's a W, and I was a J. I was a J, and I married down in the alphabet, so my kids are last.
I definitely went up. My kids, I went from a J to a B, so the girls definitely, like, lucked out.
I still can't believe nobody picked your name. You should have hyphenated it.
No!
Her current last name is Biggs, and her maiden name was Johnson, so it would have been the Biggs Johnson.
I understand both sides. I understand the no.
How about this?
I understand the you had the chance, you had an opportunity to do a really
you feel free to use it in a book.
Somebody could be Big Johnson.
Somebody can be Big Johnson. Make it a character that is purposely disliked.
Okay, I will do that.
So I have to tell you, Chessie, the extra book you sent us over the summer, my kid used it to bribe her teacher.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So Piper's in high school now. And
oh my gosh.
she's in AP everything, because duh. But her AP lit teacher's like this guy that wears cargo shorts and t-shirts all day. Like he's just ADHD little king, and he just kind of runs around. So he has like this display of the best books. And she's like giving him a hard time that like nothing more modern's in there. It's like all these old and so she's like, can I have that extra Chessie book? And I was like, the signed one? And I go, yeah. She goes, yeah. And she goes, I'm gonna bribe him. She goes, it's for your display, and it has goodies, and it's please. And he's like, I don't know who this is. And she goes, well, that's your problem.
That's your problem. Read the book, sir.
Which one was it? Which
Cats and Yummer. It ended up being, he read it over the weekend and put it in this display, and he goes, Piper, that's a little dark. And she goes, I know, it was good.
Oh, that's a little dark. Sure is. Put it in your display.
Not the point of the book.
I mean, the point of the book is darkness, but still, put it on the shelf.
Still.
Hello, darkness, my old friends.
Gosh. How have you been?
I have been great. For people watching this right now, you can see my empty bookcase, my almost empty bookcases. I am in the process of moving.
How dare you?
I know.
It's so rude.
I know. I will, next time I'm on here, because I'm sure there will be a next time, I will be coming to you from a different location, probably with more natural light.
Less dark.
I'm in a basement right now. Right. I've been living in a basement for a long time. So, but yeah, I've been doing great.
But I sort of love that the Pokemon poster is still up there. Like,
oh yeah, all the posters are coming down last. So like Pokemon, and then the Clockwork Orange poster behind the bookcase, and then my Children of Hypnos artwork. Those will come down last.
That's what that was.
I know.
Yeah, the one with the gun and the nightmare coming out of the gun. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't believe you're back. I love that. So you wanted to join us for spooky season, but
Yeah.
not to talk about one of your books. So this is the fourth time you come on, and the second time you talked about another book. And you kind of picked which one from our list that we were doing, and that book is What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. I have a library copy. Support
Look at
local
my hand.
libraries.
Great.
Support local libraries. So, and I did read both this book as a physical book and as an audiobook. I did both.
Oh.
I just did the audiobook.
How was the audiobook?
I
The
like
Because
the
I only
narrator.
read the physical.
The
I like
narrator
the
was a
narrator a
solid,
Okay.
solid 4.5.
Yeah.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
don't think she had too much differentiation between her male characters. Like a lot of them sounded very
No.
similar. But there was very clear voices for all of her female characters.
And it was consistent. You know, her voice didn't change. She didn't change her dialect. She was consistent throughout the book. You know how sometimes in an audiobook you can see a narrator is dwindling out near the end. They've either given up, they're tired of recording, whatever the fucking problem is. They've had to do too many takes, whatever the problem is.
Sure.
She's not there. She's relaxed,
it was
she's
good.
mellow. She's just same tone and inflection the whole time.
And
Very nice.
her voice for Naomi was so clear that when I started reading, when I would switch back and forth, Naomi's voice, it was the voice I heard in my head, which was good.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, I haven't read Eliza as an audiobook. I'll have to do that.
It's good.
They let me pick. I love the Eliza audiobook. I haven't listened
It's
to it.
really
But they
good.
let me
I
pick,
enjoyed it.
2 different narrators. So there's a
really?
narrator for the main book, and then there's a narrator for the monstrous sea parts.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's so good.
So I was
It's
so
so
happy
good.
about
I
that.
enjoyed that.
Molly listened to it when we went, because we covered, so the kind of how you came connected with our pod is we covered Eliza in our first season in that December, and then we kind of connected through Instagram, and that you came on and those kind of things, but Molly read Eliza only as an audiobook, and I was like, okay, but you need to go get the physical book because you need to see the illustrations that are in it, and you need to read this bonus chapter that's at the end. That's the alt ending.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite of the endings.
Which is it's my preferred ending too. But
Anyway, so I've never read that one as audiobook, so I should. Typically for pod, I only read the books that Molly is in charge of leading for as an audiobook, because I do better being able to write questions from the physical book.
Yeah.
But I am not a fan of horror or thrillers. Like, that's just not my thing. And we do this in October for spooky season. And Molly says it's because I make her read romance the rest of the year, but I stand by that. So,
sure you do.
I try to kind of get through them as fast as possible, so that I don't, like, I'm actually taking what I call smut break. These are my pauses in the pod, and I'm reading the second book in the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy, and this one called The Mistake.
Oh, okay.
So, college smut. So
college smut.
It appeals to the masses. So anyway, should we do a synopsis?
Sure.
Okay.
If you have to.
If you must.
If you must.
You only say that when you don't like the book, but I know you liked
this book.
Okay, then hush your face.
I'm just being a snarky.
As usual. When Naomi, Liv, and Cass were 11 years old, they spent their time in the woods in Chester, Washington, creating magical, dangerous games to worship the skeleton they found and named Persephone. The result was a violent attack on Naomi by a wanted serial killer who stabbed her 19 times before leaving her for dead. Luckily, Liv and Cass were able to get help, so they all lived to tell the story. But it was all a lie. Not the stabbing, not the left for dead. That definitely happened. But no matter how hard she tried, Naomi could never really remember that the day fully. And when her would-be killer dies behind the bars she put him behind, she's left to relive the truth again and again. And when Alan Stahl's death brings Naomi back to Chester for a visit, a new nightmare unfolds. After declaring she's done lying, it's not Naomi. Liv goes missing, only to be found the next day dead in the pond in the very same woods where Naomi was attacked many years ago. Now it's up to Naomi to discover the truth about her attack and Alan Shaw. Fortunately, she has the help of crime podcaster. It says podcaster in my notes. Oh my gosh. What was I doing?
Welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Molly.
She has the help of crime podcaster Ethan Schreiber to spill all the truly gory details to. Trigger warnings for this episode: sexual assault of a minor, murder, violence, suicide, depression, and anxiety.
Just overall warning, creepy fucking shit, yo.
Just
Creepy.
overall warning.
Yeah.
Creepy
This one really
topics.
This one really creeped me out. I had to take breaks from it. I was pretty creeped out most of it.
It's just the small town vibe. It relates too close to home. That whole small town, everyone takes care of each other bullshit. Because small town girl.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Lonely
want to
world,
know what kind of 11-year-olds are like, I found a skeleton, let's worship it. Like, what the actual fuck?
I was left alone in the woods a shit ton as an 11.
And if you found a skeleton of a human, are you going to start worshiping it?
I might. I don't know. I was a stupid 11-year-olds.
I thought about this while I was reading the book. I was like, because I was the kind of kid who loved going out in the woods and like finding things. The idea of finding a skeleton or like a dead body when I was a kid was like, it was like the ultimate mystery. Like, where did this come from? What is this?
Yeah.
When you're a kid, and I guess they were 11, we said.
They were 11.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even when I was 11, you don't think about like now as an adult, if I found a dead body, I'd be like, oh my God, call the police immediately.
Right.
Don't
Right.
touch anything. Get
Right.
out of here, because who knows if the person who did it is still around.
Right.
Like, you think of so many other things. When you're a kid, all you think about is like, it's the macabre of it.
Yeah.
It's the, I am not used to seeing this.
Right.
What is happening? I need to explore this.
And life hasn't prepared them for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
At 11, I'm not supposed to know what to do with the dead body because I'm 11. I'm not supposed to know that is
it's not even just like a body when they find it. It's just a skeleton.
It's a full skeleton.
She's a skeleton at that point.
And they find it in a little like burrow underneath a rock. That's so kind of already mystical and like creepy. And when you find it with your friends, it's like, oh, it's our secret. We won't tell anyone about it.
I mean, do you know how much crap I found in the woods that I just went and put in my hidey hole and was probably somebody's shit they left there, and it's just sitting in another hidey hole in the woods now?
Yeah.
For some kid to find that lives in those woods now?
Yeah. All right, so this is Kate Alice Marshall's first adult thriller. She's previously written YA thrillers and horror stories. So how do you think she did with her first attempt at an adult novel?
Pretty good, I'd say.
I think she did great.
I mean, I haven't read her other stuff, so I couldn't really give you a good assessment of YA versus this. But she definitely reads like a seasoned author.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I guess it's the age of the girls, of the women, when they're back that really makes this adult, and maybe the fact that there's sex in it. But I don't know. This actually leads me to my next question, because this book reminded me so much of Pretty Little Liars. Both the book series and the TV series. It reminded me of that.
With either.
Huh?
I'm not familiar with either.
Oh, well, Pretty Little Liars, I've read the book series and I've watched the TV show, which this is somebody who doesn't like horror thrillers, but for some reason, I read that with the lights on. When Tom was not home, I had to have the lights on. All the lights. So it's basically rich girls who have a secret because one of their friends goes missing. Her body is found a year later. That's Pretty Little Liars. And they will not disclose the secrets. And they keep calling it the Jenna secret. And they won't disclose what happened. And that reminds me of that. It's like the main, the girl who actually gets killed, her name is Allison De Laurentiis. And she picks her friends based on who she can have the most influence over. So she picks a hodgepodge of friends. And that's, to me, what cast it. So the story has Pretty Little Liars vibes. So if you're into that, this is definitely a good book for you. But it reminded me so much of that I had trouble separating the fact that my biggest issue with Pretty Little Liars was always like, why have these girls not told their adults anything? Like, just tell your grown-ups you're being stalked. Like,
But
just do that. But
think
these
about
women, they're grown-ups at this
like,
point.
think about our childhood. If I went and told one of my grown-ups I was being A, stalked, or B, I found a body, nobody would have believed me. No one.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's your situation, but I feel like even in my situation, I feel like people would have believed that.
I think in mine, people, if I had told somebody that I had found a body, they would have been like, okay, where did you find that? Take me there right now.
Right, yeah. Like, it feels like I feel like it's a formula. That part of the story to me, which is like, I guess it's the core of the story. It felt like a formula to me. I felt like I had read that before because of Pretty Little Liars. That doesn't mean I didn't like the book. I still liked the book. It just felt like it was a formula.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll agree with you on that. I know a bit about Pretty Little Liars because I have watched recap videos on YouTube, and my boyfriend got really into it like a month ago for a little while. So
good for him. Good for him. Good job, boyfriend. Good job.
He was deep in the weeds for a little bit. And so like I know enough about it that like yes, it is definitely that kind of like you have those elements of like the rich girl who is the rich popular girl who can kind of influence her friends.
Right.
You have like the mystery, you have stalkers, you have you know, people in town interacting with each other and all these little relationships that become more fleshed out as the story goes on. Like you realize that the relationships that they set up in the beginning are either not quite what the main character thought they were, or are a little bit deeper than the main character thought they were, things like that.
Yeah.
So I definitely see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the classic Mean Girls vibe, right? Regina George binds us all.
Yeah. Like, I will say I did, between the three girls, it didn't feel completely like Mean Girls or Pretty Little Liars. I do think, like, part of your question here is, did you find the friendship between Naomi, Cass, and Liv to be believable? And I do think that part did feel very believable to me, because I did have those friends who were like, throughout a lot of this book, you see Cass as like this. You definitely get the vibes that she is a controlling person. She is someone who needs everything to be right. But she's also that person who, like, will run after you. And obviously we see by the end of this book that a lot of this is a smokescreen. But I did have those friends who were popular and a little more socially aware. So they would, maybe they knew they said something mean and they would go after you. They would talk to you. They were intense, but they were also not a bad person necessarily.
Right.
And then you had people like Liv, who were quieter and a little more neurotic. And like, so I found the relationship between the girls to be, like, kind of surprisingly believable. With thrillers, especially, for some reason, I tend to find the relationships like lacking a little bit. Like they mostly just go straight to the mystery and things like that.
They don't develop the background.
They don't develop it that much. A lot of thrillers to me kind of just like set the pieces up, but they don't delve into the pieces. And I felt like these were actually a little more realistic than I'm used to from thrillers.
Sorry.
And it has to be a small town. For me, the relationships don't work outside of a small town.
No.
The problem for me was I always read Cassidy as controlling. She was always a puppet master the way I read it. She looked at what's the lead? Naomi.
Naomi.
Yeah. She looked at Naomi as a burden, right? And when she gave Liv's spoilers, Liv dies.
Well,
When
that
she
was in the intro.
yeah. When they're at Liv's funeral and she's giving like she's speaking, she omits Naomi from their lives.
Mhm.
Like Naomi
Ethan
fucking
calls
wasn't
that out.
right.
Ethan calls
Like
that out.
like she wasn't even alive, right? Like
Mhm.
Naomi has never been there. And that just
Mhm.
proves that Naomi's always been an extra piece in her game
Yeah.
from the beginning. And it's
Mhm.
just I was a Naomi. I was the kid with the questionable parents and the kid that, you know, might have looked a little dirty and, you know, was a little weird and a little off. And
I mean,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think Cass's personality, I 100% bought the excuse. I'm not going to totally go into this scene yet, but I totally bought the excuse. She was my friend, not yours. That is
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cass's vibe 100%.
Yes.
She was
But-
my friend, not yours.
I've had those interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it was time for Cass to grow the fuck up, but she was never going to.
Never.
No.
She was always
She
going
wanted-
to be.
And I think that's why she wrote the book,
Mm-hmm.
to control the situation more.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that was probably her parents trying to control the narrative too. You know.
Mhm. Before Naomi made a decision, right? If Naomi writes a book, then they're never going to have control of that story. But if
Right.
they write a book before Naomi decides to, then they have control of the narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the goddess game that Cass creates. So the girls find a skeleton in the
Mhm.
woods. Like we've talked about, it's like in this little cave burrow. The skeleton is wearing a bracelet that says Persephone on it. And so they name her Persephone. And Cass creates which goddesses they are and all the tasks that they will be doing. Is this tweenage fun or is this just really fucked up?
Both.
Both. That's exactly what I was going to say. In that way that, like,
I mean,
sometimes a lot of tweenage fun is things that are fucked up.
Yeah,
And, like,
that's fair.
you don't, like, when you're doing them, when you're that age, it's like finding a body. You don't
right.
Mhm.
realize why it's fucked up or how
Well,
or...
Think about, we used to play light as a feather, stiff as a board, right?
Holy shit, Molly! I was thinking the same fucking thing.
Okay?
Same brainwave.
We were trying to summon a demon to
Mhm.
lift our friend off the floor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What the fuck were we thinking?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, it's like a Bloody Mary and
Yeah.
like any
Mhm.
of those like
Yeah.
weird.
I mean, but also I made witch's brews as a kid. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I take a bucket and go grab shit from the yard and I'd sit and stir and be like, but like
It did like. I mean, obviously, like later, of course, you made witch's brews.
I know. I was like, that's just so Molly.
I can't pass that over. I did think it went like later on in the game, it
Mhm.
got like exponentially more fucked up.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that
And,
was what's her face being fucking a psychopath.
It was,
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Cass, yeah.
Like that's where that part comes in.
Mhm.
Is like you get out of tweenage messed up and into just fucked up.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because when the goddess game starts, they don't even have Persephone at that point, right? They're just like they're
Running around
making
in the
witches
woods.
brews and
Yeah.
Oh, it started before they found her. I
Yeah,
read
because-
this like 2 months ago, so I'm a little
it's okay.
fuzzy, but
we'll forgive
It's
you.
okay.
It's because
Thank you.
the reason I know that is because Naomi is named Artemis. She's the
Mhm.
huntress, and she finds Persephone
you're
and
right.
brings them in. So they already are playing this game. It just got more intense and dangerous as the time went on, because after they found Persephone was when Cass decided that they had to do the 7
Yes, that's
sacrifices
right.
or what have you. 7
Rituals. 7 rituals.
rituals.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
The word
But they were-
sacrifice didn't come until way later.
But they were already being goddesses
Yeah.
Right.
in the woods. And in some ways, like I picture these girls as like little 11-year-olds with, like sun-kissed skin and freckles and like hair that has twigs in it because they've been playing in the woods and they look a little feral.
Yeah.
And then you dig to the heart of who the characters are and you're like, oh, these kids aren't feral. They're fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Like they all needed
Like
CPS
Cass
definitely should have stepped in.
Like Cass is she's probably a sociopath, which we'll talk more about that later. But Liv was like, had some major like psychological issues.
That child had OCD at a very young age and definitely needed treatment.
Yeah, she needed treatment, and I'm not sure what you would actually diagnose her with, but she had some pretty serious psychological issues.
Well, the counting and like needing the numbers, like fours and sevens,
right,
like that feels OCD to me. But
yeah, for sure. But it was the starting point was the OCD, was the numbers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so Naomi makes a lot of bad decisions as a result of her trauma, but one of those happens to be sleeping with Ethan, who is a podcaster covering her story. Naomi begins to tell Ethan the truth with the secrets secrets she's never actually told anyone. So did you think Ethan was worth trusting? Before we know all the stuff, what did you think about Ethan?
This is like the one kind of beef I have with this book. And I hate, you guys know that I can't, like, not that I can't. I don't talk bad about other authors' books. Even if I, like, hate them, I don't talk bad about it publicly because there's
because you're a good human being.
Off pod, I want to know what authors you hate.
Oh, absolutely. This is
She's
not
like, I got a list. You want to see it?
This is not a ding against the book, I don't think. This was my feelings. When Ethan showed up, I was like, okay, cool. We got the podcaster guy. He's gonna come. He's gonna try to interview her. He will probably get in on the investigation somehow.
100%. Yeah.
When he followed her to the pond, I was like, and he's like, no, I wasn't trying to do anything. I was like, you are suspect number one right now, my guy. You are so suspicious. You are no. And maybe that's what she wanted us to feel like in the book, which is then it's great. But then Naomi, I was like, I know Naomi is making bad decisions. I know that's the point, is that she's making bad decisions. Sleeping with Ethan is like,
okay, I'm gonna defend this.
How'd you get that far? How'd you get that? Is
So I'm gonna defend this from the neighbor, the podcast fuck up. Got it?
Okay, got it.
So I made terrible life choices as a 19 and as a teen and a 20 something. Okay, part of that bad decisions was sleeping with inappropriate people because I could not manage my feelings and what I was doing in my life. So instead, I slept with inappropriate people, and that's what Naomi's doing. Naomi is taking these feelings of indifference and unknowing what to do and filling this gap of loneliness. And the only way she knows how to fill that void of loneliness is sex, because she doesn't know how to have connected relationships that aren't either A, her dad, who's batshit crazy, or B, the people she was nearly killed with.
I think it also has to do with the fact, she says this, she's choosing to sleep with random people purposely so that she can control the bad decisions or the bad things that happen to her. So I think she slept with Ethan because she knew it was a bad decision. But here's the thing. And so, gang, if you're joining us for the first time because you were excited to see that Francesca Zappia was on podcast, hey, we're excited to have her here too. Unless we have the author with us and it is a new release title, we give spoilers on this podcast. So I'm going to tell you that maybe skip this episode, although be very thankful that Francesca Zappia is here because we are. But I'm going to give you a spoiler right now, gang. I 100% knew from jump that Ethan was AJ. 100%. As soon as he came in and he was a podcaster and he starts talking to her and is like, oh no, this is a project of my own. This one's personal. Then he's talking to his mom, and his mom's and his stepdad doesn't approve what he does because, you know, he thinks it's like inappropriate. And then he's like talking about how his mom feels like she has to make up for her ex-husband. I'm like,
You see the eye
No
roll?
surprise.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
surprise.
It's just, she didn't even try to bury it. You know what I mean? This author just left it on the surface. And I don't know if that was the intent. If she was like giving this little gimme, especially as big as the ending was.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I will give her this. I am normally very good at guessing that stuff. And I think my brain went into overdrive and was like over hypothesizing everything. And that was like the one thing I didn't think. I guessed other parts of I guessed like the big twist of the book. I didn't even guess it. I knew it like as soon as I started reading.
Oh yeah,
because of something else that I'll mention. But like that was the one thing that I was like, oh, it's his son. But it wasn't like a
oh yeah.
I wasn't
I figured it out.
It was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not a eureka. You didn't go, eureka! I solved it.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess that's what was
Molly,
going on.
is that what you do normally? That doesn't
Absolutely.
You just
I am
eureka.
I'm in the middle of a book. I'm sitting there and I get to the page and go, eureka! I found it! Every time. Yes, April.
That tracks.
Well, I knew who Ethan was going to turn out to be. I totally knew it. And the fact that Ethan kept saying, you shouldn't trust me, like you should not trust me. And was really kept saying, oh, but AJ is like hidden who he is. Like he's hard to find. Nobody can find him. It was just pretty obvious that that's what was happening. And, you know, she chose to sleep with the podcaster who was interviewing her. I think the hurt for her was that it actually ended up being somebody else. So she wanted to make the inappropriate decision of sleeping with the podcaster. What she didn't realize is she made the inappropriate decision to sleep with who she thought was her killer's son.
And she fell in love, right?
Not killer.
That's the thing that
Attacker.
she didn't expect, I think, with him, is that she ended up having real feelings for him. And I think that was the thing that fucked her up the most, was the fact that she was finally having real feelings for someone. And of course, they're feelings for the man that she thinks that tried to kill her kid.
Also, why was I rooting for them? Like, why did
I still wanted them to get together in the end. Too many romance books. That's what you get for making me read those fucking happy endings all the time. That's not real life, bro.
I stand by that. I stand by that decision.
I stand by that. I did. Maybe there were a few times where I was like, okay, he's actually a good person. This isn't so bad. But like, as a couple, I was like, you two need to break up immediately. Like, this is not.
This is so inappropriate.
You have so many problems, and you are the son of the man who everybody thought gave her problems, and this is a lot, y'all. But maybe they understand each other's. It's one of those things where it's like, we're the only two who understands like what the other one has been through, kind of. Like, I mean,
I feel like in some
ways we're the last two people on Earth. Better fuck.
I feel like he was good for her in some ways because she held all this guilt for putting an potentially innocent man behind bars. And Ethan was there to reassure her, oh no, he actually was a fucking serial killer. He just didn't stab you. Like he was killing people, just didn't stab you.
Yeah.
But he was the first person who was like, it's okay for you to feel that guilt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're allowed to feel this way. Nobody else in her life, her friends, nobody was like, it's okay you feel this way. But you don't have to. Right? Everybody else is just telling her, shut the fuck up, be quiet, go back where you came from, just like, or clean your dad's shit. That's the only thing she's hearing from people.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so wow, we're only on question 5. I feel like we're doing well though.
What have we been doing this whole podcast?
We've been chatting. It's been good. Okay. Naomi's father is the town drunk and a hoarder, by the way. Naomi spends her life believing she is trash. And however, we do learn that her father tried to get his act together when Naomi was attacked. So how do you feel about Daddy Shaw?
I have a lot of sympathy for him. It's tough. It's like, especially like being, okay, so he's alcoholic and he's a hoarder and like, That's tough.
Mhm.
And it's like he tried and go ahead.
It's a realistic portrayal of somebody like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
It is because you throw a stick and you throw a rock and you're gonna hit one of them in any small town.
Mm-hmm.
There
Right.
is gonna be a house with 7 cars in the yard on
Mhm.
cinder blocks.
Oh, yeah,
who have
for
missing
sure.
doors, who have crap in their trunks, that have wild animals. There's definitely a goat tied up somewhere. Like
Chickens running around and
Yeah.
they don't belong there. Like they
feral
just-
cats everywhere.
feral chickens.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe this is unpopular opinion since you guys didn't say this, but this is a bell for me. I find this to be really
okay.
cliche. I feel like
Okay.
if
I mean,
her
it is
dad
cliche.
if her dad is any other person in town, she's not the one that's the victim here. She has to be the daughter of the town pariah.
Yeah. For them to want to help her and save her and all that bullshit.
Yeah, for them to be able to rope her in so that she
And
can
control
be
her. Yeah.
so she can end up being the victim. She is literally trying to get any sort of morsel of acceptance that anybody will give her in town because of how she was raised.
Mm-hmm. It's you're not wrong, but I'm not gonna give you the bell.
I don't care. Fuck you too.
So much love here.
100%.
I mean, I do love her, but yeah.
But she also
Yeah.
fucking hates my stupid face sometimes.
I mean, it's true.
It's a balance. I'm not gonna lie.
Friendship.
Right, exactly.
My hetero life mate over there.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. All right, so speaking of small town rumors, the new police chief is a town outsider, because of course she is. Chief Bishop doesn't believe that Liv's death is a suicide. Unfortunately, her hands are tied by small town politics. So, did you think that she did enough to try to figure out the truth? Oh my gosh, Molly.
Got a bell.
You're telling me this was the cliche for me. This was the cliche for me.
Mm-hmm.
He hires a sheriff from outside of town, brings him in, then fucking interferes with him. It's so fucking cliche. You want to control the freaking town? Put the sheriff in you want.
Mm-hmm.
Why bring an outsider in? It just made no sense. It contradicted itself. It contradicted itself in a way I can't explain to you.
And
my
like
brain is
nobody
stupid.
wanted an outside sheriff either.
Right.
So it's
he
like
hired one anyway, even though
Right.
it pisses him off. It makes no sense.
Right.
and so I'm having trouble remembering this because I know that she shows up in the beginning. She shows up like at a couple points in the middle.
Right.
Does she do a whole lot at the end? Like, or is it just like?
Well, she's there when Naomi is found in the woods.
End, in the woods.
I guess she just kind of acts as like she's going to believe me.
She's the moral center of this book,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
She's the lawful good.
Yeah.
So there's no imbalance with her, there's no preference. She just wants what's legally right.
Yeah. It would have been interesting if it had been like a like the mayor or whoever it was, like if he didn't want her there either.
Right.
And like something had happened that like she was appointed to their town.
Right. Yes.
And
yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense that they hired her.
Mm-hmm. When he could have hired the guy that has been like ramping up for the job since she first got attacked.
That guy, that older police officer
that kept interfering.
Yeah, I legitimately thought when the first is when he's first around and Naomi finds out that he led her to saying who it was that she saw. I was like, oh my god, was this the guy who attacked her in the woods?
Yeah, I thought that too for a minute.
Good red herring, I agree. Yeah.
It was a good red herring. I will say that.
Because he kept popping up like a fucking boogeyman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He just kept showing up out of nowhere and he's like, don't worry, kid, I got you taken care of.
He definitely knew something. Whether he did it or not,
know.
he knew something. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, he was on the payroll of the mayor for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He got his son out of all sorts of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Because Oliver was an awful human being.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
Yeah.
He was a good characterization
well.
of like a terrible person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a great example of how, like, okay, the Murdochs, okay?
Have you guys seen all this? The Murdochs?
Yeah.
Okay. He is a perfect example of what happens when parents get involved to protect a kid, right? And that is what happened with the Murdoch boy and how that boat accident freaking got all fucked up, right? So it's the same thing. Same death.
Yeah. There's a lot of white privilege in that family.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Entitlement runs deep in that town.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he was a good red herring too. And honestly, I don't know that I think Bishop did enough. Her whole thing was, if I don't do what the mayor says, I get fired, and my wife and I are out of a job. Okay, but you can just drive your ass back to Seattle where you were working before.
You didn't want to be here.
You didn't want to be in the small town anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I agree. Cody Brennan, one of those, is the town hero who saved Naomi's life. And as an adult, he's part of the state legislature, and he's a true family man. But Cody has some secrets of his own. What did you think of Cody's character arc?
It was written well. I liked it.
Yeah. I thought it was written well. I at first when they went to the like bar and like had a meal, and I was like, is she really going to try to sleep with a married man now?
Oh yeah, I thought that was definitely
which was like
happen.
Obviously part of her like her bad decisions.
Right.
You know, but I was like, oh, is this going to happen right now? Like, is he the love interest for this book? He is not. And I thought his arc was interesting, and I thought it was
surprising in the end for me.
Yeah. Because surprising in that, like, again, I felt like it had like a ring of realism to it.
Yeah.
Because
I thought he was really interesting because as the story goes on, we sort of learn that, like, yes, he saved Naomi's life that day because he brought her out of the woods and got her help, but he maintained some sort of, like, he was stalking her for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
He was stalking her from that point on to make sure, like, he had become too clingy to what happened. Like, he was always going to be her savior. And in the end, I mean, again, spoilers, gang, I was shocked that he's the one that killed Liv. I thought for sure Cass did it. I thought for sure Cass killed her.
I think Cass never gets her hands dirty.
Yeah.
Cass never gets her hands dirty.
I thought for sure she did it. Or she convinced Liv to kill herself. I thought one of those two things happened. She absolutely convinced
him. She is a woman. She murders with words. Her deadliness is the fact that she can convince anyone to do anything.
Yeah, which is why I thought it was possible she convinced Liv to kill herself. But Cody, his final moments of, like, actually attacking Naomi, like, that to me, that was the snapping point. He realized, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah.
This is really bad. I'm going to lose my whole family and this whole life that I've built.
And he's going to have to get rid of the person he swore he would always protect forever. So he's fucked either way. Either he kills his reason for living, right, in his mind.
Absolutely.
The only reason he's supposed to be alive is because Naomi stayed alive.
Right.
Or he loses the life he built.
Right, absolutely.
Well, like, Naomi would have been his third strike because he also killed Persephone. What was her name?
Well, Chessie.
Well,
it was an accident. It
was an accident.
Okay, but who's going to believe that? There's no forensic evidence left to, like, justify that. But he definitely killed Persephone or Chessie, Liv, Cass, and then tried to kill Naomi.
Oh, right, because he did turn and shoot Cass, didn't he?
Right in the neck.
Woof.
Like,
in the neck. Like, in the throat. Like,
he
can't talk anymore.
He's like, oh, by the way.
And then he just turns around and was like, she was not a good person.
It's like, guy.
Like, hold up. Not good people. You just, you make boundaries and you walk away from them. You don't, like, shoot them in the neck. Like, okay. Right. Like, his whole life.
He really rationalized that. The calmness of him going, She wasn't a good person. Like
Right.
you could, like I
But-
could visualize that man's face is dead. You know what I mean? At that point, he is ghost white, dead, and he is a zombie at this point.
Yes.
He has lost
because
all
she
control.
threatened Cass was going to kill Naomi, which is the person that he has been bound to protect.
He's lost all control at that point.
Oh,
He was
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
He had a psychotic break probably at that point.
Oh, for sure. Probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
he was really backed up into a corner where he was going to lose everything. He works for the state legislature. I mean, he's an elected official. He has his third child on the way. He's built this life with his wife.
Imagine the headlines.
Yeah.
State legislator murders 4 women.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That small town's never going to be the same.
It's not good, man.
No.
But man, imagine the horror tourism they'll get.
I was gonna say the horror. I mean, not only did you have a Slender Man stabbing in the woods, but you also had like a
serial killer
state
there.
Yeah, like all this stuff. Wild.
Yeah. Have either of you seen the show?
More popular in Forks.
Have either of you seen the show Resident Alien?
Yes. I fucking
feel
love
like
Alan
I've seen
Tudyk.
clips from it, but
Alan
I don't.
Tudyk is the
Yes. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I love Alan Tudyk so much.
I do too.
So that the small town where Alan Tudyk's alien character has taken over someone else's body, by murdering them and then just the whole thing,
wearing their skin. Yeah.
Yes,
as you do,
as one
does.
This town is getting like a lot of murder, like it's pretty murdery, and then they like that's what they're becoming known for, and people are coming there to tour it, and the mayor is like, "This is not what we want to be known for. Like, we don't want to be the murder town, okay? We don't want to be the murder town." But they're getting a lot of tourism because of that. That's what made me think of that. It's a good show. If you haven't seen it, it's a good show.
I would watch it. I love Alan Tudyk.
You know what I like about that show? Just as a side note, first of all, I love Alan Tudyk, so that is good there. But all of the other main characters are like really powerful women. They're all women who like own their shit. Like they're really, really strong women. So
I saw this TikTok about how it's actually a video of Alan Tudyk. His wife is a choreographer, and she did the choreography for Peacemaker. And so she made Alan do all of the footwork for John Cena beforehand while they were staging. So he had to teach John Cena that dance.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
It's a great video, Chessie. If you've never seen it, there's like this, it's like short clips of him doing all this voiceover work because he's like an amazing character actor. Well, he plays the chicken in Moana.
Yeah.
And he starts like balking, and then he's like, "I went to Juilliard." And
he looks at the camera and he goes, "I went to fucking Juilliard." And he's like, looks back and he goes,
I love him so much.
It's
like,
so amazing.
If I know, April, I know you're not into horror stuff.
No.
The movie Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
So good. It's a comedy.
Funny.
It's a comedy.
It's like it reminds me of Shaun of the Dead. Have you seen
Yeah,
like
I didn't like that either.
I totally understand, but Alan Tudyk plays one of two like rednecks. Dale, yeah, and there are teenagers who come to their neck of the woods, and they are the rednecks that the teenagers think are trying to kill them, and they're just like, "No, we just want to have like a fishing trip." Like, why do you think this? It's amazing. It's so good.
That's amazing.
You want to talk about the book again?
Yes.
Sounds like a So this story takes place in a really small lumber town. Cass's family owns the lumber yard, and her dad is the mayor. Liv's family owns the Green Energy Project. Naomi's family owns garbage. Naomi believes that her friends have protected and provided for her. Having finished this book, what do you actually think their motivations were?
I think Liv's was guilt. I think Liv truly loved Naomi, but I think she could never get over her guilt. I think that was a real friendship. Yep. Cassidy was always control. From the beginning to the end, Cassidy never cared about Naomi at all. She cared what Naomi did for her. So, and Cassidy's always been that way. Cassidy was always going to be that way. And that's how she sees the world. What are you going to do for me? Imagine being that poor woman's child.
That's
what I kept thinking. Too. Like, when I thought back as, like, she, like, showed her true self in the end. I thought back to that moment where she, the daughter opens the door, finding Naomi, and she's like, welcome to the house. And it's like, oh my God, that child's just tortured, I bet. But like,
that child is overpowered by her own mother.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a reason she talks like that.
Yeah.
But I feel
Exactly.
like you can actually fill this out more because their parents do this too, right?
Yeah.
So like the Greens are Cass's family.
Yeah.
Liv's family owns a green energy thing. Like Liv's family, they're not just doing it to because of guilt for Naomi. They're doing it to protect Liv. Because again, spoiler, if anyone finds out that Liv actually stabbed Naomi, she's not going to get the psychiatric help that she truly needs. Although I beg to differ, she may actually get the psychiatric treatment she needs if they know that her delusions went so far as to being convinced to stab somebody. But only once. The other 18 times.
Was definitely Cassidy in her fucking rage.
Right. I found it really interesting. This isn't a question that I have, but I found it really interesting when Naomi discovers that Cass actually wasn't abused by her father, that she was beating herself and blaming it on Oliver. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Girl's batshit crazy.
Fuck. I didn't see that coming because Oliver was not a good guy. Like, he molests Naomi as an 11-year-old.
But he has nothing to hide by lying to Naomi either, you know?
Exactly.
He got what he wanted from Naomi.
Yeah.
He's done with her. She's trash. You know what I mean? And that's what he thinks of her.
Yeah, and it's like, and when you're reading that conversation with him where he's explaining, it's like, you as the reader are like, he's telling the truth.
Yeah. Because he doesn't give a fuck.
He doesn't give a fuck. He has no reason to lie.
Apparent. He gives zero shits. He looks at her as wasted time. So why waste time by lying to her?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's no point because she's not worth the lie.
Yeah.
Because that takes up brain energy.
Exactly. And he's like, yeah, Cass did that to herself. She always does that. Like, that's her thing.
She's crazy,
which
right?
is crazy.
Like,
yeah. And it's like you can already tell he hates women,
to,
so of course he'll talk about his sister anyway, that she actually, like, he's not gonna. We were talking about Oliver and
he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, Oliver gives zero shits, like, about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't go anywhere because if he leaves town and gets...
Can you guys remind me, did she, like, I know she had sex with him when she was 15. Did she, like, go over there and, like, lose her virginity to him? Was that, like...
Yes.
Yeah. And
girl was fucked up.
She wanted to hurt herself. And she knew the best way to do that was to kill two birds with one stone. And she knew Oliver would hurt her, and he choked her. She talked about how he choked her during the whole thing.
And hurt her thighs.
Yeah.
And he was like a grown adult then, too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he molested her when he was a grown adult. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine feeling like the best choice to make.
Trauma means you make poor life choices.
Oh my gosh. All right. Okay.
For Naomi.
She's been to therapy. She's not good at it. She definitely is losing at therapy. All right. There are a lot of layers to this book and a lot of characters that matter. For one thing, we learn that Liv has a mental illness that has left her suicidal and depressed for most of her life. Her illness was triggered by the attack when the girls were kids. Well, it was further triggered. So as the story unfolds, we learn that her illness actually manifested before that. So were you surprised with the truth of the attack, of what really happened to her? Which is that Liv stabbed her and then Cass took over.
The word sacrifice popped in my head. I want to say, I don't have the book in front of me. I'll go scan the things. But the word sacrifice came to my head probably around like the gathering at the funeral at Cassidy's parents' house, and Naomi's going through the like Cassidy saved things, right? And she finds the letter that she was supposed to destroy and the letter Liv was supposed to destroy, but Cassidy didn't save hers, right? And she's going through all this stuff, and I'm like, and she's reminding herself about all the steps, and she's trying to remind herself, and I go, you guys don't have a sacrifice. Oh my God, she was the sacrifice. Oh my God, she was supposed to be the sacrifice. That's what I started doing instantly.
Oh, that came at the camera. That was great. Anyway.
This is the person I've decided to spend my life with.
I'm a grown up.
I'm a grown adult.
I thought it was gonna. I thought from jump that Cass was the one that did it. She either did it or she convinced Liv. And here's the thing: when Naomi points out that the fact she didn't die, I was thinking to myself from the beginning, there's no way she was stabbed 17 times and she didn't die. Like, there's no way. It's because the knives didn't go deep enough to actually, like, kill her,
Because
right?
an
So she would have
11-year-old
had to
doesn't have
bleed
the
it.
strength to stab through the dermis.
That is shitty police work right there. Anybody worth their salt who has seen any sort of CSI would know better than that.
So I was not surprised by it. Like, I had, as I was reading the book, there were red herrings that kind of like made me think like, oh, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. Like, but actually, when you guys sent me the list of possible books to, like, to choose from for what I wanted to read, I don't remember what. I remember reading the summary for this. I don't remember where it was, but I read it and I was like, oh, it's a Slender Man stabbing. Like, it's based on the Slender Man stabbings.
Yeah.
In Waukesha. And in that story, the two girls stabbed their friend as a ritual sacrifice for Slender Man.
Right.
And so from the get-go, I was like, oh, cool, this is going to be a book about girls stabbing another girl. Great.
Awesome!
So I went into it
murder.
and
love that journey journey for us.
Yeah. Except so then I started reading it and I was like, oh, maybe I misread or something or whatever. Maybe it was actually an adult of some kind. And then I got to the end and I was like, oh no, it is the Slender Man thing, and one of them has like a serious mental illness, and I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, okay. So in that real event, she was stabbed 19 times in the arms, legs, and torso with a 5-inch blade. So
yikes!
When I got to that the big twist that it was them who did it, I was like, oh no, that is what this is. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
ripped from the headlines.
Ripped from the headlines. It is, I feel like it is tougher to do that now than it used to be because of like, because like Stephen King has done at least a few books that are ripped from the headline stories, but like it is different now to do it because everything feels so fresh, and it's like it feels like no matter how long ago it was, it's still not okay to make a fictional story on it.
Right.
This I think was okay. I don't think this
because this wasn't directly on the nose.
It wasn't on the nose.
It wasn't a Slender Man book, you know?
It wasn't a Slender Man book. Like, if you didn't know about that story, you wouldn't have, like... So, I'm not saying that about this book. I don't... But I do think it is much harder to write that kind of book now than it used to be.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
There's just too much true crime happening. Too many people are getting murdered.
Crime.
Too much murder.
Too much true crime. And, like... The fact that so much, I listen to a lot of true crime, like just media, and I can't stand true crime media that sensationalizes or like just puts too much into it. Like, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it's like
makes it celebrity.
It's like I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened, but just I want the facts, and I want you to give me the facts in a way that is not exaggerating them or adding a spin on them. Like,
I mean, Naomi, well, not Naomi, sorry. This book actually calls that out, right?
It does.
Because Naomi is watching the true crime documentaries. I can't remember what it was, but Crime Files or something like that.
Yeah.
And she talks about how they they refer to the Stahl murders as Naomi and the other murdered
victims.
girls.
Yeah.
Not victims, other murdered girls.
Yes.
And Naomi wasn't murdered.
Yeah.
She was stabbed, but she wasn't murdered. So she doesn't like being referred to as the other murdered
As
girls.
one of them.
And
Yes.
Because she's treated as the dead, and she's not dead. And
Correct,
she's like,
yes.
I do want to live. I'm
Yeah.
here.
Right.
But everybody treats her like she's dead, man. Everyone.
Yeah. We've already talked a lot about Ethan being AJ and that whole thing, so I don't want to like beat a dead horse here. But so speaking of her bad decisions, how about the fact that she like hate fucks Ethan in her childhood room while her dad is getting takeout? Like, what?
That's a
The
lot.
hell?
Again,
Trauma.
That's very much a trauma response to that situation.
Oh my gosh, this is just crazy. I was like, girl.
That's how she fixes
Girl.
shit. Sex. She doesn't know how to handle a relationship. But that's how she knows how to handle her emotions. That's the only thing she puts love with is sex. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about the ending. So what did you think about the final big scene where she's being chased through the woods by Cody and she's like now in the cave bleeding out herself, almost dead, where Persephone is?
I mean,
what did you think about this?
I liked the ending, but it was also cliche that they magically found her to save her, right? Like,
well, she was able to get 1 bar of signal and call Ethan.
Of course.
They set that up. She set that up in the story though. Because she talked about how there's very limited signal in the woods. And then she has that one call in the woods where she gets very limited signal and she's in the cave.
Yeah.
And she's talking
and then you circle to the end.
Yeah.
And then you circle to the end. And I think she was talking to Cody even. Well, she's asking him about Persephone. I think that's that call.
I thought it was the chief calling her, asking her to come in because they had another interview with her.
Right. You're right.
Okay.
But you circle then to the end and that she gets that 1 bar again in the cave.
Sure.
I didn't mind it. I think there are other like coincidences and like kind of things that feel kind of lucky in other books. This one didn't bother me too much.
It's not a bell, but it's definitely like, I see it.
For me, it was her motivation to make the call. Her motivation to make the call was not to be saved. She was convinced she was dying in those woods that night. She was motivated to make the call so that Liv's parents would know she's not the one that stabbed her.
Yeah. That's true.
That's a huge turning point for her life.
She didn't want them to have guilt.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Man. Okay. All right. So the final question is about Cass.
Okay.
We learn a lot about Cass in this book. For starters, she is likely a sociopath and definitely a narcissist. She controls her friends through the game, and she convinces her dad that her brother is beating her while she's actually beating up herself, which is just crazy to me. She convinces Liv to stab Naomi because she's jealous of how close they are. So what do you think about this book's villainous mastermind?
She wants when other people have things that she sees as desirable, she wants them, and she thinks she is entitled to have them. So like, she sees that Naomi has Liv, she's like, well, I want Liv, and I want Liv to be only mine. So we're gonna get rid of you. And she sees like the bed and breakfast or whatever, the book, like their story of this happening. Like she takes the book and she makes it like just hers.
About her.
Makes it about her. Like,
Naomi's the one that almost died, but please, let's tell me your side.
That made me rage. When people do that kind of stuff, it makes me so mad.
Have you guys ever seen Big Bang Theory?
Yeah,
I know
yes.
Molly likes. Okay, so there's an episode in which Dr. Plimpleton or something like that, Judy Greer plays her, and this is Sheldon's friend, and she just keeps like banging her way through the guys. And Sheldon's like, she's my friend and you're playing with her. Like,
Yes.
this is that.
Yes.
But, like, on a much more gruesome scale.
Yes.
Like,
not
and
in
the fact,
not in an autistic way, in a sociopathic way.
And I understand that Naomi had a cold, and that's why she couldn't sleep over with them the night before, but she didn't need to be in the woods either. They orchestrated that. Cass orchestrated that so that she would have time alone with Liv, so she could convince Liv to stab Naomi.
Yeah.
Cassidy was a child raised of means, so she was always given what she wanted. From that moment on, as long as she knew two things. She knew if she cried her white girl tears, she would get what she wanted. Two, she realized she could convince her parents of anything if she told them her brother hurt her. So she knew she could manipulate people at a very early age. And she just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And the scene where she's, like, going to kill Naomi, and she, like, brings a tarp and all that, she just kind of goes, listen, sweetie, I mean, you're not, it's seriously like Mean Girls, you're not really that pretty. Like, you need to know that. Like, we just need to take you out now. Like, it's
you're just so inconvenient. I'm so sorry.
Right. I'm gonna have to murder you now. I can't deal with this, murder.
It's just too much.
It's just too much, and like, you're gonna have to take you out now.
I have to murder you.
Valley Girl murders. No. Jesus, back to our Valley Girls. Chessie, back to our Valley Girls.
Oh my God.
All right, well, that's all the questions I had on this book. Did you guys have any final thoughts before we move into, like, talking about writing projects?
I hope she writes more horror. She's good here.
Yeah, I was freaked the fuck out.
Yeah,
I would read some legit horror, because this is like thriller, like creepy thriller. Like, give me some horror. Give me some, like, real straight up. The only other note I had, this was from the beginning of the book before I started reading and then stopped writing notes. The only other note I had was in the very beginning. I liked, like, when the three women met up again, I liked how she showed different ways that women in general express anxiety and nerves.
Yeah.
So, like, Cassidy gets more forward and smiley and friendly and, like, becomes more of a host. Naomi runs, and Liv turns in on herself. And I was like, it was a very interesting look at, like, female anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good point. I also wanted to get, like, super bookish and talk about, like, the duality of what lies in the woods as being the title.
Right.
Because it's not just that someone is lying in the woods and dying or dead in the woods, but it's also the liars
in the woods.
But that felt like super English teacher.
Haha, wordplay.
I know.
Ha! I love it.
Fun. So, what can you tell us about current projects? What are you working on?
Okay.
Besides moving.
Yeah. Well, Molly and I
that's what she's working on.
Molly and I were talking about this. I have actually, over the past year, things have been weird in publishing. We've had strikes. We've had all kinds of stuff. So I've been a little back and forth on what I'm working on. Grey Miss Fair came out in March. I have recently gotten back into it. I am almost done writing the third Children of Hypnos book.
Yay.
I can hopefully announce some things soon.
Don't you tease us, woman!
I can't. Nothing is official. I cannot jinx it. I cannot tempt the rat from the thing.
I subscribe to your newsletter, and every month I'm looking at it, and it's like, something soon, and I'm like, fuck, Chessie.
Every month,
come on.
Like, when can I put it in here? I'm like calling up my agent, like,
people are
soon? Now? When? And she's working super hard.
Just start texting her. Are we there yet?
Hey, actually, I am going to text her today. I am going to do that.
Yes.
Sorry, Louise.
Are we there yet?
I'm going to text her today about something that I think you guys will be really excited about. And, oh my gosh, I'm like halfway through 3 different books, like writing right now. And it's like, I just need to grind them out, just get them written. And then.
That's what happens when you're living in 2 locations.
I know. I know. Although in the new place, I will have, again, a lot of natural light. I will have a little reading chair that I can also sit in and do my
Ooh.
writing.
There's
It-
space for Chessie.
I will have space for me. It'll be great. I'm very excited.
Nice.
Soon I will have things.
Now you have fur babies, right? You have a dog or a cat? Which one?
So
Are they going with you?
my dog lives at my parents' house.
Okay.
He's a family dog. And my cat Carl lives here.
Carl.
My sweet baby Carl. My sweet 14-pound baby Carl. He lives here. He's actually my brother's cat. My boyfriend's I'm moving in with my boyfriend. His family is allergic to cats, so I cannot take Carl with me,
Gotcha.
unfortunately. So he is staying here. He will be well loved and taken care of. I will come visit him often. I know.
Poor Carl.
That's okay.
It makes sense, though. I get it.
It's a reason to go back to see your folks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Come see my brother and sister and hang out here for a while.
Yeah,
see
exactly.
Carl.
So, do you have anything, any releases, any dates coming? You don't have anything official yet.
We are not. I am currently, as of the recording of this podcast, not contracted for anything. So that's what we've been working on.
Yet.
Go get her.
Yet.
Monstrous
now. I swear. We're going to make it happen.
We're going to make it happen. It's going to happen. I promise.
Can we talk about this cosplay you've been doing?
Dude!
Yes.
I didn't even recognize you last week.
Molly and I were talking about that. We were like, both of us were talking about the podcast because we were both looking at Instagram and I was like,
I'm scrolling and I go,
oh, it's Chessie.
I go, who's that? And I go, Chessie? and I did that face and I was like, nice, babe.
So this is again my boyfriend's fault. He has been doing cosplay for a long time. He and his friends. And I started going to conventions with them and I was like, this looks like a lot of fun. I want to do this. So I learned how to sew and do other things. And I have done Vex from Critical Role, Striga from Castlevania, and then the one you guys saw, the green one, was Polaris from the newest X-Men comics. Yeah. I love
They're
Polaris.
really high quality. You're
doing a really good job.
Your cosplay is like really good.
Thank you. I wanted to that so the jacket on the Polaris took me I think 10 hours to finish one day. Like the day before we were leaving for the convention, I had to finish it. So that's another reason why I haven't been getting a lot of writing done is because I was like,
you've been sewing a lot.
I got to finish this costume, and then not realizing how long it was going to take.
When you go to these, do you have a booth? Like, do you sign? Do you be more
Are you
than
Chessie or are you just character?
Are you Francesca Zappia or are you Chessie?
So at this we just went to Ramen Con, which is in South Bend, Indiana. It's a great little convention if any of the listeners want to check it out. We have a booth there because our Theta, the cosplay group, runs the cosplay catwalk, which is like the contest. And we also do panels and stuff like that. So I was sitting at our table with my books and some goodies and everything. And I was talking to people that came up. Usually when we go to conventions, we're just there as guests. So I just walk around and sometimes I'll take like my bookmarks with me or something and hand them out if people want to when people sometimes you'll get stopped when you're just walking around and people want to take a picture of you. So we'll hand out, everybody else has business cards. I have my bookmarks. So we'll just hand stuff out. And if they seem like they like books, I just kind of mention it to them. So, yeah.
Okay, well, now you need to hand out our stickers too. Shameless plug.
I'll do that. Send me some.
On it.
I mean, I will. I have a whole box behind me.
I
need one for my water bottle.
Yeah, this is what they look like. They're our logo.
Yes, I want one.
Okay, I'll send you one. Yeah, we got them for the convention the book con that we did.
Which we will be back at this year, guys.
And we're going to be back next year.
What? Wait, what is it?
Annapolis Book Festival.
I need to write this down.
Absolutely, they're taking authors right now.
Yeah, if you should
Hey,
apply.
you know what? Tell them you'll only do a panel if we host it.
It'd
Oh
be
my
so
God.
good that we could actually meet you IRL.
Oh.
And then Katie can meet you.
Yes. I told my boyfriend that, like, because we were sitting there and, you know, we go to a bunch of anime and comic conventions, and I was like, we should go to some book conventions.
Absolutely, you should.
And he
be
was
doing
like,
book
yeah, we
cons.
should. Let's go to book conventions.
Yeah.
Well,
You
if
should.
you have a preferred panelist, tell them.
I will.
Yeah. We'll be there again.
We will always be your panelists. If you ever need panelists you're comfortable with, you just tell them you have a preferred panelist and you'll only work with us.
Absolutely. Done.
This event is at the Key School in Annapolis, which is like the swanky private school.
Nice.
And
It's like on the water.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's their like big fundraiser. So they get vendors to sponsor them and all sorts of things. And then they've been doing this for, last year was the 10th anniversary. 20th anniversary. And a lot of the authors are like connected to the schools, and we live stream from there.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We
awesome.
interview
Nice.
authors and live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool. And they had like a super swanky like event the night before that we got invited to. We were not cool enough to be there.
Wait. Tell Chessie what their mascot is.
I don't remember.
You don't remember. Their mascot is gazebo with the word gazebo spelled backwards.
Yeah. They don't have a mascot.
Zagagos or whatever. It's the
Oh my God.
Gazebo backwards.
gazebo backwards is their mascot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I'm
It's a
looking.
nice school though.
I'm looking at their webpage right now. You're on their webpage.
Oh
The Book
yay!
Besties podcast will be live at the festival, interviewing authors and chatting about books.
Oh, look at us go.
Yay, us.
It was a lot of fun. It was
It was.
exhausting
We had
last year. It
fun.
was so much extroverting.
But it was
Like,
so great.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm the introvert of the two of us. So
And I was done. I tapped out.
by the time we were
Oh,
doing
man.
the last interview, I was just like, I can't anymore.
Hey,
I
Can
cannot.
we wrap up? We're still live.
No, I know. We're
Okay.
not. We have not wrapped up. Do you want to wrap up? Should we wrap
We're
up?
like an hour 20 deep.
You have anything else, Chessie?
So where's your next cosplay? Where can people see you next?
I believe the next one, the next one I know for sure is ACEN in Chicago. It's Anime Central. We will be at ACEN.
Okay.
So-
That's cool.
I'm Chessie.
There's a very small con in Bowling Green, Ohio,
Okay.
at Bowling Green State University, which is where I went to college.
Mhm.
And Katie takes her kids there.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you ever want to go there. It's like really small.
Just hop over to Ohio.
I'm sure they'd love to have you because it's college kids. So, you know,
Oh, I'm sure.
as a readers for you.
I have not been on a college campus in like 2 years now, and
That's because you just
It's
finished your
fine.
master's. You're kind of
Okay.
tired of school.
I finished my master's and I quit my job on a college campus. So, whew.
So you're just a writer, officially.
No, I have a part-time job that pays the bills.
Chess.
I know. I was officially a writer for like 6 months, and then it was like, well,
I mean,
little
that's
bit of
still
income would be
really
nice.
impressive.
I
That's
know.
so impressive.
I spent a lot of that time napping. I was so like the whiplash from like 12 years of school and work and a master's program
Yes.
like smacked me in the face. I was
You're
still
like,
in
"I'm
my master's
tired."
program then.
And you
I
wake
was
up a month
so
later.
tired. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Chessie just slept for a month. It's fine.
Well, that's still important. Mental health, right?
Mental health.
That's self-care.
Exactly.
Self-care sometimes looks like naps.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you for coming
We-
again.
Thank
Like,
you
for
oh my
having
gosh,
me.
you have to come next season. We love you having you on here.
Yes.
Like, seriously.
I will absolutely
Yeah.
come again. Always.
Our seasons are shorter now, so we'll just slide you in.
so I
whenever.
can come more often. Great. That's what
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Like,
More
I
free
want to
time.
come more.
More free
Exactly.
time for Chessie.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you again. Oh, next week. We didn't talk about next week. I don't have a copy of the book. Next week we're reading I just started it today. Good gracious, April. It's like I'm new here. A Flicker in the Light, I think it's called.
Yeah, a flicker
Flicker
in
in
the
the Dark.
Flicker in the dark.
Flicker in the Dark.
No.
You don't flicker in the light. What the fuck? A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. I just started it this morning. I am listening to it on Hoopla for free.
Because of
Support
local
local
libraries.
libraries.
I actually just showed my boss that. I was like, yeah, your local library, you can get audiobooks for free. And she's like, what? Yeah, Libby and Hoopla Gang. I'll put the links in the bio.
Yes.
Support your local libraries.
Okay, that's it. We'll see you next week.
Bye, besties.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly and April and not those of anyone else. Today's book was What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall, featuring special guest and honorary Book Bestie Francesca Zappia. Your Book Besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins, editing by Thomas Watkins, and music is Sleep Sweetly by Prigida. Don't forget to follow the Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you'd like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com or visit our website, bookbestiespodcast.com. Until next time, besties, get lost in your favorite book.